Welcome to Good for Bitcoin, a weekly show recorded live every Friday, where we recap the top events of the week and talk about everything that is good for Bitcoin. If it's built on Bitcoin, then it's good for Bitcoin. Let's get started.
Content shared on this podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only. It does not constitute financial, investment, or legal advice. The views and opinions expressed are those of the host and guests and do not reflect the official policy or position of any other agency, organization, or company. We encourage you to conduct your own research and consult with a qualified professional before making any financial decisions.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to Good for Bitcoin. My name is Brandon, social media manager here at Trust Machines, joined by my co-host, Kate. Happy Friday, Kate.
Happy Friday, Brandon, and GM to everyone listening.
Yeah, thank you for everybody for tuning in. And we also have Rena that's going to be joining us in just a minute here, so really excited to hear from Rena. We have a lot of public company news to talk about this week, as you may have seen in the show title. It's kind of funny, like a few weeks ago, the theme of the show was all related to like all these, what do we call it? Like the alphabet soup of like government organizations. Yeah. And it was like all these government, like FBI and FDIC and all these different companies coming out with news. This week, the theme has just very much been public companies. So we're going to talk about all that. And Rena is joining us here. Rena, happy Friday. Can you hear us okay?
Friday, y'all.
Cool. Yeah, I was just talking about the fact that we have a lot of public company news to talk about this week. But yeah, how was your week? I know you've been very busy with many things that you maybe can't talk about yet, but how was your week overall?
It's been a good week for Bitcoin. I can't complain.
It has been a good week for Bitcoin. That is for sure. Well, we always like to kick it off with some Trust Machines company/product news. So first one is really cool. Namecheap today has announced that they're offering $5 in BTC rewards for any .locker names that are purchased through Namecheap, which is very cool. This is going to directly incentivize people to set up wallets for the first time and redeem their .lockers on BNS and start to activate this flywheel of Bitcoin stacks, wallet transactions, all the things. So really exciting that we now have at least Namecheap, and I think there's a couple more coming soon that will also be offering this promotion.
I think there's a GoDaddy on deck.
There you go. There's the alpha. GoDaddy's coming up. Pretty cool. Also, every Wednesday is a new epoch for the Granite LP rewards with incentives. USDC on Granite is now earning 46.9% APY, which is pretty incredible. So if you are not on Granite yet, what are you doing?
I know.
That's
insane.
That's pretty enticing.
Those yields, yo.
I wanted to just give a reminder to everyone to also claim your LP rewards. Yeah, a lot of people, coming in to use Granite, but they don't. They sometimes forget to actually claim those tokens. So definitely make sure you're doing that week over week.
Yeah, there's a new rewards epic every week. So every week you have to go in and claim your rewards. It's not if you don't claim it, you lose it scenario. You can go back and claim previous weeks, so you don't have to worry about that. But yeah, if you haven't claimed, you don't have them in your wallet yet. So make sure that you go and do that. And claim those juicy rewards while they're still there.
There's some exciting things coming into the fray on the Granite side, given quite a few institutionals are getting ready to onboard to Granite for the first time. So the Bitcoin is flowing. Yeah.
So last week we talked about the fact that SBTC Cap 3 was originally anticipated for this week. It got moved back by a week because of institutional demand, exactly. And there needing to be a little bit more infrastructure in order to support that. So the institutions are coming.
I can attest that the institutions are testing all of their setups all throughout this week and next week. Many of them are using Fortify, which is an up-and-coming MBC wallet provider. It allows you to do multi-sig and kind of permission how you do your transactions into DeFi. And the Fortify team has been making sure that the Stacks vaults and Bitcoin vaults are ready to roll for kind of all the DeFi apps. And I know a lot of the DeFi apps like Granite have gone through extraordinary lengths to make sure Fortify is connected and ready.
So, Rena, I'm going to put you on the spot and have you explain a little bit more about why this type of infrastructure is needed. I think for many that are listening, you'll probably be hopefully familiar with at least single sig wallets and then also multi-sig Bitcoin wallets. But what is something like an MPC wallet and why do institutions need this and they can't just use like a multi-sig?
So many institutions have different risk parameters and custody rules for how they can move funds. More often than not, you are looking at 5 to 8 approvers for every single transaction over $1 million or such. And so with things like Fortify, you can permission the vaults exactly what you need and pre-sign the transaction so you know these are going to be deposits into these LP positions, or these are going to be withdrawals, or these will be looped. But essentially it gives teams the flexibility to make sure they have the right actors on their side to manage the risk parameters and permissions, and also have the kind of composability to make sure that they're fitting with their compliance teams. It is a little bit different for folks that are crypto native and are used to just doing everything self-custodial in that route. But let's say you're an SEC qualified institution in the US, you have to keep your assets in cold storage with a Bitcoin custodian or a crypto custodian that is registered in America. So think about the Anchorages or BitGos or Coinbase Primes or Gemini Trusts of the world. They're going to net all of your assets are still held there, and now when you're ready to move them on chain, you need a software solution to help move them on chain safely, but still kind of maintain your risk parameters for qualified custodian. And solutions like Fortify kind of come into place. Others would be Fireblocks or something like that. But by allowing this sort of infrastructure in, you are essentially opening the floodgates that $1 billion can flow back on chain where it belongs.
Pretty huge. Yeah. So we'll see how this cap goes next week.
I mean, I think it's going to fill out faster than cap 2, which was 24 hours. I'm going for, I don't know, I feel like 10 hours, maybe less.
10 hours. Okay.
So you can get some
sleep. I don't know. But I do think we're getting a lot of demand from people going one cap. So I think it's not only just folks like us who probably have been moving their Bitcoin and getting ready to peg in and kind of participate in the rewards program, but institutions want yield too. Like, yield is for everybody.
Yeah, we're going to be going from when cap to when no cap pretty soon here.
Well, maybe a summer timeline soon enough. I think I like having the caps because it makes sure the system is taking all of the measurements in place to be secure and keep safety first, because this is a lot of Bitcoin coming out of cold storage for the first time.
Totally. Well, we saw, withdrawals open up just a couple weeks ago as well. And I think it was kind of funny because when withdrawals were announced, they said like, it's going to be capped at like 100 or 150 BTC per day, right? And then I think in total, there's been maybe like 3 or 4 Bitcoin withdrawn like in all time. So everyone wants more productive Bitcoin, it seems.
People need to put their Bitcoin to work. It's got to earn its keep.
Well, speaking of putting Bitcoin to work, it's probably a good segue to some of these public companies that are moving some Bitcoin around. So it would not be a show of Good for Bitcoin without talking about Strategy. They have acquired 13,390 BTC for $1.34 billion. And they now hold 568,840 BTC.
Wow, that's more than I was expecting. So now they're just under 3% of the Bitcoin supply.
Pretty crazy.
Yeah, there's like this. Usually we talk about like the pressure of the mining halving. When Bitcoin getting ejected into the system cuts in half, but now it's like there's like this new pressure from institutional buyers that's also creating so much pressure on the price.
I mean, it's not just like the institutions that are buying Strategy, but just think about, probably I steal Brandon's thunder, but Coinbase hit S&P 500.
We're getting into that.
How many mutual funds had to just buy Coinbase for the first time? It's required if you have an index of the S&P 500, and Coinbase does acquire Bitcoin.
Yeah, we're definitely going to get into Coinbase and some other companies going public as well. But Strategy is not the only big company that bought a tranche of Bitcoin. 21 also purchased 4,812 BTC for $458 million. Technically, because 21 has not fully, transitioned yet from like the Cantor Equity Partners ticker that it was before. Technically, it was purchased by Tether on behalf of the company, and it'll be transferred over once it happens. One thing that was really cool with this announcement is they shared a Bitcoin address where you can actually see the Bitcoin on chain, kind of just sitting there. But going back to Strategy as well, right? This is just a lot of Bitcoin, almost 570,000 Bitcoin that is just sitting there, not producing any fees, not being productive really.
It's kind of odd.
Just stagnant.
Essentially like taking out Bitcoin out of the circulating supply, like in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Like I denote Strategy's Bitcoin similar to like ETF Bitcoin, though I think Strategy will give them quite a bit of credit. I know they do some lending facilities on behalf of their Bitcoin too, so they put it to work. It's just not quite Bitcoin-fi, DeFi just yet, but hey, I'm sure it's a long time coming.
Yeah, it's got to be a process too, right? Like there is a lot of trust that is still required in this system to like move such large quantities of Bitcoin. So I feel like, it's like the same thing when you send Bitcoin to cold storage, like you send a small amount first, test it out, make sure it's good before you unleash the whole thing.
Yeah. We can rapid fire a few more here. Next Technology has acquired 5,000 Bitcoin for $180 million. They now hold 5,000. GD Culture Group announced a $300 million stock sale to fund crypto asset treasury strategy. So they haven't bought it yet, but they're going to be buying $300 million worth of Bitcoin in the future.
That one was a little sus. I kind of was like, what is GD Culture? It's like a very small company. I think there's like 8 people working there. They're like a TikTok creator company. That one might need a little bit more digging.
So that $300 million is being sold. It's $300 million worth of stock that's being sold to one accredited investor in the British Virgin Islands. And the proceeds are also going to be used to purchase Trump coin in addition to Bitcoin. It's just a very weird thing.
Public, or is he or his or her identity obfuscated?
Yeah, it seems like they didn't name the person. They just said it was like an accredited investor, but it was
Satoshi.
In
unknown person reacquires Bitcoin.
I think Satoshi has enough Bitcoin already. I don't know if Satoshi needs more.
How do we know that Satoshi has enough?
True.
Maybe he's a fundamental believer in Trump coin. Maybe he's switching his path.
We don't discriminate on alternative assets.
We certainly don't.
Well, I'm going to share this chart here, which is from Bitwise, which is really cool, showing just how much Bitcoin all of these companies have been acquiring lately. So corporate Bitcoin purchases have now outweighed the supply of new Bitcoin by 3.3 times this year in 2025. This year, roughly, there's been around 60,044 BTC created or mined, and now we have all these corporate, companies acquiring nearly 200,000 Bitcoin. The demand is outpacing supply at the moment.
Wild.
But let's get into all these companies going public. At the beginning of this week, we saw eToro went public, $52 a share, valuing the company at $4.2 billion. They are now trading under the ticker ETOR. They raised approximately $310 million from investors, exceeding the anticipated demand. And they are the first company to go public since all the tariff drama that, kicked off a few weeks ago.
eToro was like a crypto and stock exchange.
It's one of the OGs. They have a separate non-US and US exchange. So US, eToro USA. I don't know if Lule is still the CEO of the US side or not. I can't remember. But just phenomenal exchange product for what they've built and how easy it is to access multiple varieties of crypto forms and then stocks in one place.
That's awesome. Yeah, we don't have access to it in Canada. Our regulations are too tight for it.
Maybe it's time for you to leave Canada.
Sign me up.
I don't have a lot of information on it. Maybe you do, Rena, because it just happened today. But Galaxy Digital has also gone public. I don't have a ticker price or anything like that they went public at. Maybe, I don't know if that information is out yet, but it just happened today. But also, congratulations to Galaxy.
Galaxy, I was really excited about this one. I think the price right now is $33.88, give or take, from this morning's opening. I think it opened at 30, maybe 30 or 31. So it's it's got its ways to go, but it just listed as on NASDAQ this morning, and it listed on the tier 1 global Nasdaq. So it's kind of even more interesting because that means anyone outside of the US who has options into Nasdaq futures can access this ticker. So I'm just like this is one that I've been like really wanted to see happening. This is actually good for Bitcoin. GLXY has been not only publicly investing in Bitcoin since 2013, but they've been mining Bitcoin, creating infrastructure. They are one of the largest lending desks and prime brokers for Bitcoin miners too, to make sure that they get access to liquidity, and there's overall great people. So I was just very thrilled to see this one.
Yeah, I mean, just huge institutional players. And they, yeah, like you said, Rena, they've been in the space for a long time. So really cool to see, yeah, another kind of Bitcoin company going public. And then, yeah, Rena mentioned it already, but Coinbase has also now joined the S&P 500. I think they kicked out Discover, which is like a little poetic.
Discover the credit card?
I think so. Unless there's another Discover.
Jeep. I'm just sorry.
I think it was the credit card company or like the financial services company or whatever. But yeah, we definitely we've seen Coinbase stock shoot up quite a bit.
So I think
as a
this
result
one
of
is
that.
definitely like poetic justice, because like when you get into the S&P 500, you're not getting listed in as like number 500. You're getting listed at the value of where your stock is. And I think they were in like the 140s on the list. So it's like really showing investor demand all across the board for Coinbase stock. And I just thought it was really interesting because crypto has always been about the little guy first, and Coinbase is making its way back to the little guy because everyone should be able to invest in stocks. And so this one just made me happy.
Yeah. And just going back to talking about like companies that have been in the space for a long time, right? Especially I think if you're in the US, Coinbase was probably the first place that you bought Bitcoin.
Gemini for me. I still have the email logs of like that was my first purchase of Bitcoin on exchange. I got my first Bitcoin actually via mining though.
Very cool. Yeah. I think my first Bitcoin purchase was actually through Circle. And it was before Circle even got into stable coins. They were just like a Bitcoin company.
They were a treasury, that's right.
Yeah.
Mine was through Kraken.
I have those emails also.
Kraken, and I was sending cash in the mail.
Kraken is pretty OG. I have to have some mad respect for that. I think I've sent some wires, and it was like my first wire. I think buying crypto was the first time I've ever submitted a wire transaction in my life.
I think I'm the same way, actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I never felt comfortable wiring money to the Silk Road, or not Silk Road.
Mt. Gox. Yeah.
I have written a physical check, I think, to Silvergate before, of whom was the bank for. I don't remember.
Everybody.
I don't remember if it was a Gemini or Kraken or Coinbase purchase, but I even took a picture of the check because I'm like, I'm writing this check for like $20K, and it was like 2013 or 14. I'm like, unclear if you can put this in the mail. And I did not like do the US like insured mail. I like straight up put it from the mailbox. So like, really.
Yeah, Kate, did you like send like cash in the mail?
I would go to the post office and you could put up to 500 at a time. So I would put like $499.98, and the next one I'd do like $499.97.
Were you just like raiding a piggy bank? Like, what the hell was going on?
Yeah, so you'd put the cash in the envelope, and then you'd mail it to like Kraken, like whatever address, and then a few days later you'd go on your Kraken account to see if it made it.
That's crazy.
They all made it. I have to say there was no
Shout out to the Postal Service.
Yeah, it's
pretty amazing. Did you do like the thing where you wrap it up in like tinfoil and like try to hide it, from their scanners and stuff?
No, I'd put like quarters and pennies and stuff in there too, and like
is this a package and not an envelope?
No, it was an envelope.
It's amazing.
So you put all the coins in like a Ziploc bag and then just like...
Pretty much, yeah. Sometimes I'd put it in a Ziploc bag. Sometimes I would just put it straight up as if I was like sending my mother like a letter or something.
So like some people put like cookies in the mail. Kate put Bitcoin in the mail.
Yes. Yeah. Anyway, here we are. We're
Here
still
we are.
thriving.
And from the Bitcoin that you got via your mail order service, how much do you still have?
All of it.
Never sold it.
Never sold it. Yep. We are thriving today. But then quickly after, it was like introduced that you could do, we have e-transfer here, which is like you're sending money through an email basically. And so that's much easier, and that's how I buy Bitcoin today. But at that time, no, I was going high risk, high reward.
It's amazing how much the infrastructure has improved in just such a short amount of time.
Yeah. High tech.
Now we have like direct fiat on and off ramps, which makes life a lot easier.
Back to the Coinbase though, I saw that they're acquiring like a Dubai-based exchange, Deribit, I think. They're acquiring them for almost $3 billion, which is like the largest like deal in the crypto industry to date, I think. So I thought that was pretty cool.
It's huge.
But yeah, I think like them getting listed on the S&P is like, if we want to talk about fiat on-ramps, I think that this is like a really, really cool one.
It's just like another like check in terms of legitimacy, right? Like
Exactly.
Coinbase has already been public, which obviously you have to go through a lot of hoops to become a public company. But yeah, it's just like there's no what's the word? Like there's no risk to like recommend like Coinbase, right? The reputational risk. That's the word I'm thinking of. To recommend like Coinbase as a stock because like it's like literally on the S&P 500. Everybody's buying it.
I found it a little bit ironic that they went to the S&P 500 this week, but then they had a massive data breach also. And this is what was like even more ironic. If you look at their SEC filing from like some days prior, they had denoted the data breach there before the public video came out from their team. So it's just like, not gonna lie, a little sus.
Yeah, I was seeing a lot of mixed things about that. I personally have been getting a ton of like spam calls from like fake Coinbase people this year. So
I get so many texts that like your password was accessed, your blah blah this, and I'm just like, not today, scammer. Like I will log into my Coinbase account from a browser that I keep in incognito every single time just to make sure. And that is the only way I will ever find out if I've been hacked or not. I will disregard every email, text, or voicemail.
Yeah. And use hardware to it.
Oh yeah.
Very important. No text message 2FA.
No, that's just sus.
Can't be doing SMS in these days. In this economy, no.
I mean, especially not you. You're tariffed.
Well, let's get into Nakamoto, which is a new public Bitcoin treasury company that is headed by David Bailey, who many know as the CEO of BTC Inc., which is like Bitcoin Magazine and the Bitcoin conferences, of course. So Nakamoto has raised $710 million by Bitcoin, and they are now going to be a new holding company. So we have MicroStrategy, we have 21, and now we have Nakamoto. Do we need more of these types of companies? I don't know.
I mean,
See them for like different assets now. Solana has a good track record with Soul Strategies and now Janber.
It's true. Yeah. I mean, if anything, I think it's, these companies, like we have like 3 big companies now that are doing this. Competition is good. So, I think they're going to feed off of each other and inspire each other with different strategies and different methods of acquiring even more Bitcoin. And I think all of them, are going to benefit from this.
Yeah, I think competition is always good. Right before we started Good for Bitcoin today, I was listening to David Bailey, who was just like put on a little Twitter space and just kind of giving more information about it. And he really just kept saying, we're just going to try and acquire more Bitcoin than Sailor. And he thinks it's like not really a feasible goal at this point. Obviously, they want to bring it more global, and Brandon, I know you'll break it down like what they're really trying to do. But yeah, I guess competition is a good thing, but I want to see some like innovation with what they're actually doing with the Bitcoin and onboarding like different types of companies. But they are going to be the title sponsor at Bitcoin Vegas, which is cool. So hopefully we'll get to learn a lot more about them there as well.
The title sponsor thing is funny to me just because it's almost like that meme of like Obama putting a medal on Obama. Like he could do whatever he wants. He owns like the Bitcoin conference. So of course he's going to have Nakamoto
be the
main sponsor.
I think what's even more interesting is like how closely him and Saylor actually work together on a lot of these initiatives. So I think it was 10 days ago, Saylor had the Strategy World Conference in Orlando. And if you had looked at the agenda, there were sessions every day by BTC for Corporation, which is I don't know if it's an offshoot or subsidiary of Bitcoin Magazine, but it's a David Bailey project of educating corporations on how to buy Bitcoin. And that one of the largest products out of BTC for corporations was actually the assistance with MetaPlanet in Japan buying Bitcoin, and a few other publicly traded companies in Asia buying Bitcoin. So it's just like almost a little bit, I love the idea of more and more companies buying Bitcoin, but I am a little bit concerned of like key man centralization risk, that it's like kind of being spearheaded by like two dudes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we reference that Bitcoin for corporations quite a bit on the show. They are often the ones that are breaking a lot of this information about public companies, especially.
I love the initiative as a whole, and I hope that they take it more outside of the US, if anything, because I think the US is a stronghold on Bitcoin because of our mining operations and things like that. But I want to see more undervalued, underprivileged countries getting access to Bitcoin and getting it on whether it's their public companies or even some of their private companies, and kind of redistributing the access, because that was the entire goal of Bitcoin.
It seems like that's what that's what they're trying to do.
Yeah, I wanted to read just a couple sentences from their press release, because I think it's just interesting to see how they're framing themselves compared to other companies. So it says, Nakamoto is a Bitcoin treasury company building a global portfolio of Bitcoin native companies. So exactly to Rena's point, Nakamoto plans to establish the first publicly traded conglomerate of Bitcoin companies by accumulating Bitcoin in its treasury and by leveraging its treasury to acquire and develop an ecosystem of Bitcoin companies across finance, media, advisory, and more. The company aims to provide commercial and financial infrastructure for the next generation of capital markets. So
more countries,
and it's the public company that they're merging with. I find that this is interesting because it kind of seems like it's out of left field, like a healthcare services platform.
Nah, it's like pretty standard for like if you looked at SPACs from like 5 years ago of how like mismatched they were, like it's like kind of hilarious.
Oh really? Do you want to?
Yeah, this is like SPAC, like running a SPAC strategy. Like there were some like so many reverse SPACs in their like 2020 era and even before of like, think about like the two is like oddball styles of like companies merging together, because like one was public and you need the whole shell, and the other has like all of the actual promised IP, technology, revenue potential. It's just kind of funny.
Okay, yeah, I was curious.
Kind of like going on a blind date.
I was thinking maybe it was more like their CEO or something was a Bitcoiner and trying to push for this, but clearly there's another story.
Everybody should be a Bitcoiner at this point in time.
yeah, so they're merging with this public company, which is Kindly MD. And they did call them out in the press release. They said that Kindly MD will continue to operate their healthcare clinics and maintain their mission to combat the opioid crisis, which is certainly a great mission to have. And, they go on to say like the merger enables like Kindly MD to integrate a Bitcoin strategy while preserving their healthcare operations. But they did also say that they will be renaming the company and it will also trade under a new ticker. So I'm sure that it'll, go from the KDLY ticker that it is now to like NAKA or, something like that in the near future.
Maybe with the Bitcoin that they now have in their corporate reserves, they can have more funding for their opioid kind of crisis and research. So that is something that is powerful and like a wonderful story.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that, anybody that was, just benefiting from or just wanting to buy the stock, previously, right, has certainly seen a huge surge in their stock price over the past, week as this announcement happened. So, yeah, hopefully some of that trickles down to them, and there's still some important research that can be done there.
Do we think that by so many of these companies buying Bitcoin, there will not be enough for retail to have a shot?
I think there will always be enough Bitcoin, but the question is like what price? Yeah,
we talked about that on another show. What we were saying is like that's definitely a concern, but at the same time, if you can just hold the approach of like it doesn't matter what price you buy it at, because if you're entering Bitcoin at any price, you're basically like protecting it from future devaluation. And so sure, it's always better to buy it at a cheaper price denominated in fiat, but entering Bitcoin at any point is never a bad move.
I do find it ironic though that when you're buying Bitcoin via like one of these like other vehicles, like a public company, you can still only do it during market hours.
Yeah, that's true. Defeats the purpose.
Yeah, is that like a trading strategy that like people will buy like ETFs, like, and then they'll buy like spot Bitcoin on like an exchange, and they'll have some sort of like, I don't know, arbitrage between the two? And is that something that people are doing a lot?
I mean, I think there's a possibility like traders can find a market for almost anything, but I think the better arbitrage opportunities are like for short and long perpetuals for Bitcoin contracts and using that against an ETF.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of that.
Yeah, it's like a basis carry trade, so I find that more interesting.
Well, I was trolling through the replies and seeing, you know, some of the FAQs that were getting asked from David on the Nakamoto stuff. One of his responses was going back to kind of the country topic. He said the goal is to run the MicroStrategy playbook in every country. We'll seed each of them off the Nakamoto balance sheet, and our Bitcoin yield would be a multiple on a multiple. So basically, he's going to have a bunch of companies, I guess, across, you know, the world that are going to be running this strategy. And yeah, that's pretty interesting.
How are they getting the Bitcoin yield? Are they lending their Bitcoin reserves out, or what's the deal?
I think they're running it similar to what we talked about with 21. They're trying to just kind of expand this like Bitcoin per share kind of price and doing different things like, you know, buybacks and like equity, I don't know, shares and all the kind of more complicated stuff that MicroStrategy does.
Yeah.
I think they're planning on doing a lot of that stuff as well. One of the other things they said was, if any of their public shares flip to a discount on NAV, we will sell some of the Bitcoin and buy the shares back. And that is accreditive to shareholders in Bitcoin terms, which is also very interesting. In some ways, they may actually sell their Bitcoin with the idea that it'll, you know, return more value for them later on.
I think that makes sense because they have a fiduciary duty to their investors first and their shareholders.
I mean, most companies do, but then why haven't we seen like Microsoft adopt this yet, right? When their board was presented with this, you know, opportunity to buy Bitcoin.
To each their own. I don't know. Some people have different risk tolerances. I would think this is like kind of abstract and I'm like on my own like wild goose chase for this one, but I would think that Microsoft might have difficulty wanting to adopt the strategy even though it presented to the board because it poses a threat for some of their like computing products or things like that, because Bitcoin miners may not be running via Azure cloud or anything like that, so it's not net adding to their revenue.
Yeah, I don't really know the reason. It just seems like they're like very anti, like I remember like when I was working there, anytime that I like tried to bring it up in like the all hands like corporate meetings and stuff, the response was always related to like energy, you know, waste of energy, blah blah blah. Like they didn't fully understand it. So I don't know if they understand it.
Because running cloud servers is extremely energy intensive.
It certainly is. Yeah. It goes back to like the Christmas lights thing, right? Like Christmas lights, you know, waste quote unquote more energy than like Bitcoin mining does. But you don't see like calls
value.
to ban.
I'm pretty anti-Christmas lights. I'm not gonna lie.
What about LED Christmas lights? Those are a little more
just
eco-friendly.
I'm like anti-Christmas lights because it's a lot of work and I just like don't see the value of it. I'm like, I just don't want to add more light pollution. I'm sorry.
It doesn't bring you joy.
This is a huge tangent now. So a couple of years ago, I put up these like clips on like my roof. So now every year for like the holidays, I can just like very easily hang them and I don't have to like do a bunch of work to hang up Christmas lights. So it's a little easier, less work.
Solar powered Christmas lights. That's what I'm here for.
Who's building this?
I don't know, but that would make me feel better.
Who is building this on chain?
Okay, some things, Kate, do not need to be on chain.
I know.
But yeah, I think like maybe that's a Microsoft perspective of like why they didn't adopt Bitcoin. I don't know, but I know like every energy company is kind of fighting with Bitcoin miners and to an extent of like how they're going to provide reliable demand for the energy that they need at a fair rate without screwing over the general like grid populace. It's like a huge deal in my home state of Texas because we're a decentralized grid. So we're not connected to the national grid at all. And there are a lot of Bitcoin miners in like West Texas, kind of in the oil field area and such. Plus there's some that have converted to like solar mining. But when you have this much demand response from Bitcoin miners, you still have to balance the grid. So it is kind of a catch-22, but I'm hoping that, you know, if the United States goes nuclear and we have a different form of electricity, this could offset a lot of things.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. Nobody wants nuclear. Or maybe, I don't know. I feel like in the past like couple of years, I think the public is maybe getting a little bit more comfortable with the idea, but
I think it's like, I think in small dosages it could help. Like what you don't want to see is like more coal mining. Like let's like think about like the alternatives. Like if you want more Bitcoin in the circulation, you still need to be able to have the electricity kind of demand requisites to be able to mine it. And where are you going to get reliable and clean electricity in the United States or globally? Coal is not going to be the option, but nuclear is at least an option to consider.
yeah, I had a guy yesterday knocking on my door trying to sell me solar also.
What to say?
Well, I tried, I was like, I'm not interested. And then he kept talking because he's like a salesperson. And I was like, I'm trying not, I don't want to waste your time either. Like, I'm not interested. Bye. Close the door. But solar could be cool. I think like
Solar's not going to happen with this tariff stitch. Let's be honest.
Yeah, not the right time, but maybe in the future. It would certainly be nice for me because we have like power outages here so frequently, which is like so crazy being in like the Bay Area and having power outages. We get like a major power outage at least once a year where the power is out for like a full 24 hours at least.
I get them longer because we're not on the national grid. So like yesterday at like 8 p.m. our power went out for like a couple minutes, and I'm like, it's 8 p.m. There's no storms, there's no rain, there's nothing like weather-wise that was inconsistent. So I'm like, y'all rolled me. I don't like this. I'm gonna have to go back to having my own microgrid and being like my own self-sustainable Bitcoiner.
Yeah, I finally had to break down last year and buy a generator because I was just sick of dealing with it.
Because it would shut off so much?
Yeah. And like, you know, when it's off for like a day or more, like you have food in the fridge and you want to be able to, you know, make food. And like, I also bought like a camp stove and stuff. So I'm ready to go now. Like I can boil water. I can do whatever. Keep the internet on. I can keep working.
Brandon is prepared for his wilderness era.
I am.
Do you have like a Bitcoin branded tent, should I ask?
I wish. I need to get a tent actually. I don't have I think I had one and I got rid of it because it was like an old kind of crappy cheap one, but they make some nice tents these days. I'll have to get an orange one at least. Maybe not Bitcoin branded. I don't want to be
You'll be
rubbed
by a bear.
Yeah.
They're orange pilling the bear.
Yeah. Couple more things to get into. This is maybe going to be a spicy one talking about strike lending. Jack Mallers went on kind of damage control with some of the strike lending stuff that's been going on. And he posted another video talking about certain things. So in his video, he was like very clear. He's like, Strike doesn't do rehypothecation. They do zero rehypothecation. He also said that single digit rates will be coming by the end of this month. And some form of proof of reserves lending is also coming. But there's like some contradictions. So from the FAQs on their website, it says Strike partners with trusted capital providers to deliver Bitcoin-backed loans with the best possible rates and terms. When you open a loan, your Bitcoin collateral is held by Strike or transferred to one of our trusted capital providers. That certainly sounds like rehypothecation to me. Maybe not endless rehypothecation, but I'm giving you my custody of your Bitcoin and you are giving my Bitcoin to somebody else. And maybe there's legal, you know, agreements that are in place that are kind of somewhat protecting that process, but it's not like you're fully trusting, you know, a third party with this versus something like using DeFi lending where you don't have to trust, you know, you don't have this type of trust relationship. So I don't know, it's not good enough for me.
It's not good enough, but I like at least the options available if it fits certain people's risk profile. It does feel No offense, Brandon, but like BlockFi-esque. Sorry.
Zero. Yeah, it does feel like it's a black box, right? They're not revealing, they did talk about NYDIG being one of the lenders, but they're not revealing, who the other LPs are. So you don't even know who your Bitcoin's being given to. And yeah, I mean, Strike, is doing a lot of great things, right? They're making on-ramps really easy. They are on chain, so you can buy, Bitcoin on Strike and you can send it to a self, custody wallet. So that would be my advice, right? Is buy your Bitcoin on Strike because they make it really easy to DCA. And self custody it, move it over into like an L2 and deposit it on Granite and get a loan that way. Seems a lot less trustworthy, or more trustworthy, less trust assumptions involved.
Exactly. Yeah, at the end of the day, if it's going to a third party, you're putting your faith and your trust in like the brand and the people behind it. And I mean, it's CeFi. Like, that's what it is.
And for some people, CeFi might be enough, but I think for a lot of people, it may not kind of be an option available. I think what also strikes me is when you're doing something like this, you realistically would need to enter into a relationship with Strike, so you need to be able to fit the KYC requirements, which globally is difficult for a lot of people who do not have credit history, bank history, or anything like that too. So like, it's a nice product for Western-based people, I'll put it that way, like who have proper financial rails and banking systems. So this is not kind of much different than that. But for emerging markets, it's a shit product.
Well, it's only available to certain US states. It's not available anywhere else yet.
I would think they might have to go through some licensing if potentially.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing, especially like looking at like the BlockFis and the Celsiuses of, the world and seeing kind of what happened there is, he can maybe claim that there's like no rehypothecation, like if there is or isn't, whatever. There was nothing really mentioned about like the collateral being bankruptcy remote. Like Strike is a very, profitable company. I don't think that they're going to be shutting down, but like it's the what ifs, right? The black swan events. Like if one of these companies went bankrupt, what does that mean for your Bitcoin holdings? Or I would imagine that, it just gets tied up in that legal process like we saw with BlockFi and everybody else.
I mean, the Mt. Gox disbursements took forever. I can only imagine I think the FTX estate is still going through their disbursements too. Like it's going to take forever.
Yeah. So.
Are they insured? Like with a lot of companies, they will insure up to a certain amount.
It would not be FDIC insured in the US, if that's what you're asking. FDIC only applies to fiat.
Yeah, because they can print more.
But to each their own take. I say that. The FDIC is only available for the US dollar with banks that are part of the Federal Reserve.
Okay, so if you're holding it in Bitcoin,
well, it's the same case of if you're holding assets in Coinbase or others, like if it's not in fiat, it's not going to be FDIC insured. So like when you go through a centralized exchange, only your fiat up to the 250 or 500,000, I think it might be 250. I don't remember.
250.
250,000 is FDIC'd. Not the other assets in your account. But
certain companies do it differently though. Like Robinhood, for example, like they partner with like multiple banks, so they will like split it up for you and like have it in different banks so that you technically have more than $250,000 worth of FDIC insurance. But yeah.
What some centralized exchanges do, they do take out separate insurance for the crypto value of your assets too. So there are people who work with like the Lloyds of Londons of the world or whomever to actually take out a secondary insurance.
Yeah. Well, final story here is some Dubai news, which Rena was just in Dubai, so maybe you have some intel on this. But the Dubai government has partnered with Crypto.com to accept crypto payments for different government services. So I'll read a couple things here. So it's a memorandum of understanding between the Dubai government officials and the president of Crypto.com. It was signed on Monday at the Dubai FinTech Summit. And once the technical arrangements of the initiative are finalized, individuals and business customers of government entities will be able to pay service fees through digital wallets on Crypto.com. And I mean, this is just I don't know if Dubai is like already buying Bitcoin, but this is just, going to be like another strategy for them to like start to acquire Bitcoin.
I think UAE as a whole is pretty pro and long Bitcoin and pro and long crypto. I had the pleasure of going to the ADGM kind of campus in Abu Dhabi, which is where all the financial kind of regulatory activity goes in that sandbox first before it goes through the other Emirate states in Dubai or in UAE. And their framework is quite advanced. Like they really do understand blockchain technology and how there is decentralized governance, mostly through a DAO structure, community voting, how to do token issuance, how to comply with kind of all your disclosures. And I was pretty optimistic on how much thought and care that they've put into like their DLT kind of regulatory framework. And Dubai has become, or UAE is becoming the center for like many crypto payments. I know Circle did a acquisition, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere in UAE with the banking license as well. Tether has a fairly large kind of operations out of UAE too for stable coins. So like it is becoming kind of the New York of the Middle East.
And Stacks Asia Foundation also became the first Bitcoin-based foundation to be recognized by the ADGM just a couple weeks ago.
That's right. There's only 8 blockchains now, foundations in ADGM jurisdiction framework, and Stacks is one.
Huge.
Big deal. Well, to end it, Steak and Shake is now offering you to buy burgers and tallow fried fries with their Bitcoin. I don't know, Rena, are you going to go to Steak and Shake this weekend?
I don't think there's one located near me. That's what I was actually trying to, like, I don't,
Are they accepting through
like
Lightning?
a hell of a drive if I'm going to make it. All right, we'll consider it. I'm trying to think how far, no, it's like an hour from me. But David Bailey is giving out $100 in Bitcoin for if you post your receipt at 5 p.m. today.
Saw that.
You gotta post your BTC address.
Yeah, I'm looking. I thought Steak and Shake was a bigger chain.
At first, I had misread it and I thought it was Shake Shack. So I'm like,
Oh,
I'm like, that's so close. This is
I would be right there.
But then I'm like, Steak and Shake, and I'm like, they closed down a ton in like the Texas state. So like, we don't have that many because I'm a straight Whataburger country.
I don't think I've ever even heard of Steak and Shake.
Yeah, where is like the main Steak and Shakes located?
It looks like they're all like, there's like barely any on the West Coast. They're all like East Coast.
I'm just like looking at locations. I'm like, where are you?
Yeah. Yeah, I was hoping that there was like one in like Nevada or something. We go there in Vegas in a couple weeks, but it doesn't look like even that is an option.
Wait, no, Las Vegas?
There is an In-N-Out in Vegas, but
Oh wait, there is this, it's Steak and Shake, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's one in Vegas. No, there's 3. There's one in Paradise, one in Central, and one a little bit out, but I think that is a possibility.
Okay, well, there we go.
Team
Maybe
outing.
we'll have to do a Steak and Shake meetup.
Okay, there is no Steak and Shake in the Houston area. I'm looking at Austin too. I'm like, what is this? Why no Texas?
You would think.
Steak.
Yeah.
We like Bitcoin. Missed opportunity.
Well, Vegas it is. I'll have to make some time.
I want to see people posting the pictures of the Bitcoin bee in their burger. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, they were like searing it into the burger, right? Is that, or like it
That's
was like
all
a
we care
brand?
about.
I mean, I also don't know if like they're trying to like troll me either, but yeah, super curious. I need to know more. I need someone to like do some recon for me.
They should get paid extra if they show up to get their Bitcoin burger and their Bitcoin Crocs. Those things are a tough look.
Yeah, they sell out every year.
Oh, I'm
sure
not
that they will
surprised at
again
all.
this year.
Yeah.
Now, how many people do we think will actually buy a burger with Bitcoin?
That's always the tough part, right? Is like you want to support it, but you don't want to part with your Bitcoin.
Yeah, definitely more of a
Yes.
novelty kind of thing.
Yeah.
Marketing. I do like that they're signing off all their tweets with Steak Toshi,
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, that's
their intern.
You know what would have been better if they did payments via Bitcoin backed stable? That would have got me.
Yeah. Makes more sense.
One day we'll make it to the Steak and Shake board meeting and be like, and then.
Too funny. Well, that was a great show.
Full hour. I think that about wraps it up. It's all the big news. Next week will be the final week before Vegas, and there's going to be so many fun things happening there. Next week's going to be a big week for the Stacks ecosystem. We have some roadmap news that's going to be coming out, and then Cap 3, another 2,000 BTC. Rena says, what was it? 10 hours? That's your prediction?
Yeah, I think we'll be 10. And then next week also, Tuesday's the Stacks Town Hall.
I'm going to say 6 hours. I'm going to take the under.
Take the under, okay. Game on. I mean, what we really want is like 1.
Yeah.
But time zones, yo.
Yeah. So Tuesday, I wasn't sure if the date or the time got announced yet. So Tuesday,
the town hall, it should be 10 or 11 a.m. Eastern.
All right. So stay tuned to the Stacks handle for that. Going to be very exciting. You know, SBTC is here. Nakamoto is here. Now what? So there's going to be a lot shared, I think. So looking forward to that. All right. Well, thank you everybody for listening. We will see y'all next week, and I'm sure we'll have a lot more to talk about. So we will see you then. And thanks, Rena, for joining us.
Thanks for
Always nice to have you on.
Thanks, Rena. See you guys.
Yeah. Have a good weekend, y'all.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Thank you for listening. We record Good for Bitcoin live every Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time on X. Please follow us at Trust Machines Co. if you would like to listen and engage with us live. Visit us at trustmachines.co for all the latest Bitcoin news. We'll see you next week.